Hey, good day, everybody. Rob here with Practical Living. Wanted to do a product review for a grip tape that I use on all my handguns. This is a Talon product, Talon Grips. I just recently purchased an H&K or Heckler & Koch VP9, which is a striker fired pistol, and received from Talon all three different tapes, texture types that could be used here on this handgun. So I want to run through them for you, give you my 2 cents, and give you something to consider as you move forward in your grip tape journey. Let's get to it.
All right, guys, here's what I have. Of course, this weapon is cleared. I'm going to show you a couple of the weapons that are cleared as well. But here's an H&K VP9. For those that are curious, I did buy the model that had the gray lower, but I did some urban camo paint to it to get that polymer a little less gray. So anyhow, personal choice there. So the weapon is cleared. Let me show you a couple other weapons. So I've been using Talon grips for a while. I personally like them. Sometimes people, and because this is a very personal opinion thing, but nonetheless, some people might say, well, is grip tape even necessary? I would say no. No, a grip tape is absolutely not necessary. But then again, neither is a car. You know, we can walk everywhere we go. But what grip tape does is create efficiency, much like cars create efficiencies. I'm going to move over here to show you an example here. And if you are familiar with Talon, you know their grip tapes. But the whole benefit to me of having grip tape, and this is a Springfield XDM 3.8 for those that are curious. But the point of this is not being able to shoot the weapon, it's how quickly can I get back on target after I fire my first round. The benefit of the grip tape is it helps me do so. It helps me better control that weapon. And what intrigued me about the products here that from Talon, of course what we have is the traditional rubber, which is what's on my other weapons. Then we have the grit, which to me is kind of commensurate with somewhere between 100 grit to 220 grit sandpaper. And then there's just kind of this hybrid. It's rubber, it's not sandpaper, but it's highly textured. And I'll talk about these here shortly. But again, back to the point of grip tape for me is being able to, one, have a comfortable feel. Two, is if my hands get sweaty, like even on this, most modern handguns nowadays come with some type of stippling, especially if we're talking polymers or other textured surfaces for the grip area. And that's all fine and dandy until the hands get sweaty. And I'm originally from Florida, and I'm telling you, when I used to go shoot in the humidity, it just makes it for a tougher, positive control grip on the weapon. So the grip tape, for me, has helped solve that issue. Is it foolproof? No, absolutely not. But does it enhance it for anywhere between, what, I don't know, 19 to 20 bucks or something like that for one of these? Absolutely. Very, very good. And I can't help but wonder, no scientific background here, but if this kind of rubbery version does help in some facet of recoil management by absorbing some of that. I could be wrong, but hey, curious. Here's another example of using the traditional rubber texture, and this is on a 6-hour P365. Again, all three of these weapons have been cleared. There's nothing in the chamber and no magazines within them. So this is an example here on a 6-hour. So as you can tell, let me set those two aside and bring the VP back up here. So installation on these is pretty easy, which is another reason I like them. Talon says that you can even take these off if you don't want them, and your gun will be back to its original condition. I have yet found a desire or need to replace any of this grip tape. But installation is pretty easy. You just wipe down the surface areas with rubbing alcohol. Make sure that that's dry. Just loosely fit this around the weapon, of course, you're looking to avoid any magazine well or any areas where this is going to interrupt or interfere with the operation of your weapon. Many times there's, like here, this hole cut out happens to coincide that I could align it right over the VP emblem at the bottom, and just following the lines, just doing a light, you just roll it. You're removing the back tape, and you start here, keep rolling it over. It's all light, and to the point that you conclude, and then you wrap over each side. Talon says that if you have overlap, and I don't know because I haven't installed it on here yet for this particular model, but if there is, they encourage you to peel this back a smidgen, get this finger tape down for the grip fingers, and then put this back over the top. And then you take a blow dryer on hot or a heat gun at very low setting and at a distance. Once it's on, you then begin to compress it, just how you would hold it, and you just keep working your way around, and ultimately you're going to end up with the grip tape in place. In my experiences, they've never moved once I've had them on, and so I like them. This is not a paid commercial for Talon. I'll just tell you my experience, and I like their grips. I've never used these other variety textures. I've always used this original rubber one, and here's why. I tend to conceal carry when I do carry handguns, which are most of the time. And if I were to grab a shirt, kind of set this aside. If I were to grab a shirt, I'm simulating this is on the weapon, and I want to drag this over the shirt. It doesn't grab the cotton or the material for the traditional rubber. This is the sandpaper. If I go to grab this, it's sticking, it's pulling on my shirt. So for me, I would never want to carry with this sandpapery texture in the concealed carry format. I wouldn't. I don't typically carry where the gun's going to be against my bare skin, but if I need to access the weapon very quickly, I do not want to have to fidget with the sandpaper to get my clothes clear. So I would only use this, me personally, on a weapon that I'm either going to open carry, or I know Talon offers grips for rifles and shotguns, which we don't conceal carry those typically, and I would probably 100% of the time, 95% of the time, use this grit paper on maybe an AR or shotgun or some other rifle or something like that when I want to enhance that grip. This also, in my mind, of course not field tested, but in my mind would be, again, if the hands are sweaty or you get something that's slippery on your hands in the course of your time out on range or out in the wilderness, is that this will help cut through that and enhance that grip. And again, the whole point is to be able to get back on target as quickly as possible. So here's this other version, this kind of hybrid between traditional rubber and the sandpaper. And again, on that sandpaper, here's 100 grit, and I was rubbing my finger along. It's just a little bit smoother than 100 grit sandpaper, but 220 is much smoother than this. So again, something to consider. If you want to go down to your local hardware store, just go check your garage, and if you're thinking about what does that texture really feel like, those are some reference points. So onto this hybrid. Again, this is actually all rubber. It's ground up rubber that they've managed to glue down, and so it's the same material. However, it kind of has somewhat of the features or components of this gritty stuff. I don't know if this is rubber here or not. I would have presumed this is some other type of material, much like sandpaper is. But for this, so again, I go back to what's the purpose, what's the point? And for me, concealed carry and easy access to the weapon will always determine what tools I use. And so when I was taking the clothes and you know, against the texture test, it does snag a little bit. Certainly not as much as this, but way more than this. It does snag the clothes. So that is a little bit of a concern for me. But you know, I also have to consider the benefits of the enhanced grip capability that this offers. I've always used these and I've really enjoyed them. Very comfortable in the hands, never snags against my clothes. So I think all in all, for my long rifle platforms, I would go with this or this. For my VP9, which of these three that I'm going to put on? Well, I tell you what, I am honestly leaning back towards the original rubber because I really like the feel. I may try to put this on, and if after a few months of use, if I find that it's just snagging my clothes too much, and none of us really like to have our handgun printing underneath our clothes, and if we're shifting to the left or right and your clothes are constantly snagging on components of your grip, then obviously that's printing and that's not as desirable. So I may try this first, run it for a couple months, and if I just don't like it snagging, I'll take it off, and then I'll go put the rubber one on. All right, everybody. Again, this is Rob here. Thanks for giving me time to let me give you some 2 cents of what I think about the Talon grips and what my intentions are with my VP product, my VP9. Hope this helps you out. If you like to see any content that I bring forth to help you live life a little more practically, please feel free to subscribe. I just really want to put these together for your benefit to help you make some decisions on your purchase options. All right, guys, I could not end this video without showing you the end result. So I did go with the hybrid, which they call the Pro at Talon. I went with that, of course, used my handy dandy, let's turn it off, blow dryer, which is kind of funny because as you saw, I don't really wear hair anymore. I shave my head, so I don't use that so much. So I call this now my Talon grip installer tool. So it's about the only use for that thing. But nonetheless, now that I have this on here, honestly, the grip feels really good. It doesn't feel as grippy as it was. And I can rub this shirt along it, simulating this as I'm trying to draw it out. It's not as grippy as it was before. I don't know if the heat applying to it and just constantly pressing down while I'm doing the heat. Oh, by the way, when you do the install, take the slide off so the only thing you're handling is the lower. You know this weapon's already clear. I shared that with you, so it just makes it a little bit easier for handling. So that's it. I like this. This actually feels good. So we'll give it a few months and see how it is from a concealed standpoint and being able to draw the weapon. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Again, have a super day.